Hello, it's Philip Taylor speaking from Richmond Green Chambers, and this morning I'm looking at a book from Edward Elgar. This is a long review and it's one of the books in their series of handbooks. This one is a handbook of research on environmental taxation. It's that book there, which I shall show you. It's been edited by two people, Janet E. Milne, who's a Professor of Law and Director of Environmental Tax Policy at the Institute in Vermont Law School, and Mikael Skou Andersen, who's Professor in Policy Analysis in Denmark. This is the book here anyway. You can see what it's like. It's quite heavy. It's a hardback. Runs to something like about just 500 pages. There at the back is a nice index of substantial detail. The actual body copy of the book, you can see there are a lot of footnotes which are extremely helpful down the sides there, and you basically got a whole series of articles from individual contributors. You can see one of them there. It starts off by explaining who the people are and what the purpose of the particular chapter is. At the front you've got a main contents chapter there. Then you have, obviously that's the second part of it. Then you have the huge list of contributors, which I can't go through in this relatively short review. I do find the abbreviations helpful, because when you're looking at taxation and environment, you've got a lot of really quite confusing abbreviations, so it's useful to have a look at, and then you can see how the book itself goes. And in fact it explains, Janet Milne explains right at the beginning how the book is structured, and they call it an interdisciplinary perspective. Now, we've written a review of this book which is on the web and in the journals, and we've called it an interdisciplinary approach to environmental taxation. Now, I'm sure you're aware that this is an important area, and it's going to gain importance, I think, in as we get towards the middle of the 21st century. As I've indicated earlier, the book has been published by Edward Elgar Publishing Limited, who are an independent family business of publishers, and they specialise in very high quality academic work, and I'm very impressed with the work that they have produced, which is really helpful across the board for anybody interested in law, be it advisor, practitioner or academic. We think this book is a useful compilation of research into the variety of concepts and policies pertaining to environmental taxation in various countries worldwide, so it's a global concept we're looking at. The resulting articles provide specialist readers with state-of-the-art research from 36 specialist contributors from no less than 16 countries. And the international approach to any environmental issue, for that matter, is certainly appropriate, bearing in mind that the environment as such knows no international boundaries, because it's obviously global, hence the views about, for instance, global warming and global climate change. This is one area of the law, therefore, that cries out for further efforts at global harmonisation, and this is one of a number of publications that will no doubt emerge to encourage that trend, as I've said, towards the middle of this century. Under the editorship of Janet Milne and Mikael Andersen, who hail respectively from the USA and Denmark, as I've indicated, the book consistently maintains not only an international orientation with this multifaceted subject, but also combines an interdisciplinary perspective with a life cycle approach to its detailed analysis of environmental taxation issues. The range of disciplines on offer here include law, of course, together with economics, political science, public finance and engineering. It perhaps should be pointed out that environmental taxation, whether tax credits, for example, or tax penalties for those who pollute, almost invariably has to be a matter for governments in response, variously, to public policy, public opinion and ultimately to public acceptance. The editors express the hope that this book and the key literature it contains will help researchers and policymakers as they struggle with the issues involved in the just, fair and effective design and implementation of environmental tax measures. Particularly interesting, we think, is the fact that the book is not merely a theoretical study. It does stress the aim of arriving at practical solutions to environmental tax problems, and therefore combines theory and analysis with interesting and instructive case studies, rounded off by the editor's concluding commentary on the future agenda for environmental taxation research. Let me conclude by saying that environmental lawyers, graduate students and, above all, policymakers and advisors at various levels of government will find this compilation of authoritative research extremely helpful as a stimulus for further study and deliberation. And let me just remind you of the book again. Interesting cover. That's the back cover, which I didn't show earlier. And you've got in here, as I say, each chapter starts off with an introduction effectively, and you've got different parts. This is the policy mix towards the end of it. What you do have, which I didn't mention earlier, of course, are copious references. There's a conclusion at the end of the article, then copious references throughout to make this a very intellectually heavy book. Anyway, I'd like to thank Edward Elgar and to the two authors, Janet Milne and Mikael Andersen, very much indeed for producing what is a very worthy book. Thank you to all concerned. Bye-bye.